Hey friends, it's me, Daddy Steve. This is Random Access, episode 9. We're starting off with the gaming news. First up, we have the big announcement that was released last week, PlayStation 5. Yes, they finally came out and announced officially that PlayStation 5 will be coming out. But it's not going to be out as soon as you think. A lot of people thought it was going to come out this year. They've confirmed this week that PlayStation 5 will actually not release until at least 12 months from now, so expected in early 2020, Q1, Q2 of 2020. So don't anticipate it for the holidays this year. It's going to be pushed into 2020. So PlayStation 5, what does that entail? Well, it's going to have discs. We'll get into that in a moment, why that's important. Backwards compatibility, so all your old games are still going to be able to play on your new machine. And an appealing price, whatever that means. That's what they've said. They haven't released the actual price for the game console yet, but they're gonna quote unquote say appealing price. It also comes with 8K ready. It is an 8K ready machine. We're not even in 8K yet. I don't even know if any TVs are out commercially like that are running 8K. Most TVs are at 4K right now. The industry is just barely getting caught up with 4K, and 8K is like right on the edge of coming into mainstream next. So this holiday probably will be your 8K spree. So PlayStation 5 will take advantage of the 8K if it offers that, and if the games even offer the 8K resolution. It has an SSD, so faster load times, faster everything. It also has AMD processor inside of it. I think it's like third generation, what they said, like third generation AMD processor. So this thing's gonna pack a little wallop with it. It seems like it's going to be a pretty impressive machine for a console, for a box that's going to be basically, it is what it is. You can't upgrade it, but I think what they're bringing out with the PlayStation 5 is definitely going to be packing some horsepower. And I mean, PlayStation traditionally has done pretty well with the tech side of it. I mean, their boxes don't age extremely bad, I would say, even when you compare it to like Xbox or even Nintendo, because Nintendo doesn't really care about the technology side of it. They're more of like the innovative side of gaming. But when compared to Xbox, I think they hold their own, and they're not constantly releasing new boxes every other year like kind of Microsoft is doing. So with that being said, look for more news in the coming months. Sony will not be at E3, so you will not hear an announcement at E3, at least officially from Sony. I'm sure more details will leak around or before E3 because it would make no sense for them not to release any type of details on the PlayStation 5 during one of the biggest gaming events of the year. So stay tuned. I'm sure there'll be more information on that coming up. And next up, we have Microsoft releasing the new Xbox One S. So what's the big deal about this one? It is discless, and that's why I wanted to make an emphasis on the PlayStation 5 having discs. Microsoft's next iteration of their Xbox is discless. They're going completely digital with this latest iteration, and because they're going completely digital, it is only going to cost $250, but it's only $50 cheaper than the current Xbox One S, so it's kind of a head scratcher. You don't get discs, it's all digital, and you're only saving $50. I think they could have dropped the price a little bit lower, like under 200 would have made more sense, but the price is what it is. And in addition to that, it comes with 3 games. It has Forza, Sea of Thieves, and Minecraft, which probably everybody has already bought those games or played those games by now. So, I mean, I guess that's okay for a game offering that they could give. What other games could they really give you that you haven't really played on Xbox? So yeah, it gives you 3 games with it, discless, and a $250 price point. Not sure that is a huge like oh my god moment or a shock factor, and maybe they're not trying to go for that, but that's basically what it is. If you don't like all the clutter of discs, if you download everything already on your current consoles, this is a no-brainer, especially if you haven't bought an Xbox One S or you're looking to upgrade your Xbox One. The price point here is reasonable, although I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't lower it at least by like another $100. I would say like $150 to like $175 would have made sense, but $250 is kind of greedy. I'd say it's kind of greedy. So anyways, that is the new Xbox One S. Again, the big selling point there is discless, kind of like going with Google Stadia there, where everything is going to be digital, no more discs, but Sony's still holding on, so that's their advantage that they have in the market, because there's a lot of people that don't want to let that disc go. They want to hold on to the disc with everything they have. I don't want to lose my box game. So if you're one of those people and you do not want to lose your discs, go with PlayStation 5. If you're a PC person like me, you've been going digital for some time now, especially if you're using Steam. So yeah, I don't really understand, but hey, we love our games. You guys love your games. That's fine. To each their own. You do you, baby boo. Next up, we have Polygon reporting on yet another game company's poor work culture. And this time it's Epic with their crunch culture. Remember when Fortnite was doing so well in 2018, and it seemed like those devs were pumping out updates left and right each and every week, and you're like, how in the heck can they pump all this content out so freaking fast? Well, come to find out, it wasn't magic. It was overworking your employees and working some of them to quit, literally, and almost some of them to death. Polygon reported that they had employees working 70 plus hours a week, 7 days a week, 12-hour plus shifts a day. People were being discouraged from not working the weekends, and if you didn't work the weekends, they would find a way to get rid of you or fire you or end your contract. There was a ton of pressure to work. The game was doing so well. Fortnite was doing extremely well in 2018. Continues to do pretty solid even into 2019. So the reason they forced these folks to like push and work extra was because of how successful and how much money the company was making off of Fortnite. So that was kind of like the rationale, like, come on guys, you could do it. We have the best game out there. This is killing all the stats. We're making billions of dollars, literally billions. I think it was like $1 billion, like off their skins and dances and all that stuff. But again, this is on the backs of your devs that are literally getting burned out, working 12-hour days, 7 days a week for, they said, up to 5 to 6 months at a time they were doing this. And many people would quit. Many people would literally go on leave or get sick. It was a big old issue. And finally, some employees came out of the woodwork to explain the poor working conditions at Epic. And this goes back with all the other game devs you've heard already. Rockstar, they were bragging about 100-hour weeks and stuff like that. So I mean, this is not uncommon in the gaming industry. And until the game devs start unionizing, I don't know how they're going to combat this, really, because the developer and the publisher have the leverage over them. They can terminate their contract, they can terminate their employment for refusing to meet deadlines. And again, those deadlines are set aggressively by the dev and by the publisher for whatever reason. Obviously, it's always monetary gain, and there's really not anything the game devs themselves can do to push back on that and really fight against the poor working conditions or the poor expectations in the workplace. So again, more to come. I'm sure the game dev scene is definitely going to see a big overhaul in the coming years. This is like the breaking point for game devs. They cannot continue to be treated this way. They cannot continue to be treated as expendable units. That once they put out a product, they're gone and they're just used and thrown away. I think this is really going to be the year where game devs get together, they unionize, they organize, and they fight back against these organizations that are taking advantage of the game devs and even artists and animators, all those folks that work on the games. Like, they're just getting taken advantage of, and especially all the temp employees, the contract employees. It's even worse for them. It's even worse for those folks. Not to mention your full-time people that have benefits and stuff. The people that don't have any benefits, they're just contractors. They're on temporary assignment. They're treated even worse. So stay tuned. This is not the last we've heard of the game dev crunch, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more news about this soon. On another side note, actually, I read today that Riot is actually trying to prevent past employees from filing a lawsuit against them because of an arbitration clause they signed when they were employed with Riot Games last year. So a lot of corporations, they have arbitration clauses in their contracts when you sign to work with a company, meaning that, like, if anything happens, you terminate employment with them, that you can't go and take legal action against the company. And so it was announced today that Riot, I think it was Kotaku who announced this today, check my sources there, that Riot has actually pursued these two women that were basically whistleblowers and filing lawsuits against Riot Games for sexual harassment and poor working conditions during their time at Riot Games. So Not a good look, Riot. Not a good look. It is in their legal right because of the contract they signed, but honestly, would you really want to honor that when you're really trying to change the culture in your company? That's poor form, very poor form. But we'll see what happens with that. That is pretty disgusting, and I hope Riot comes to their senses and just bites the bullet on this one and takes it, because they need to change their ways, and they need to show that there's good faith in them changing their ways. Next up, we have Epic yet again. Tim Sweeney, Epic CEO, is challenging Steam to improve their revenue share with developers. They're saying, you know what, we're taking all these exclusive games, but we won't do it, Steam, if you guys just improve your revenue share with the devs. If you can come to parity with us on the revenue share with the devs, we'll stop doing these exclusive games. So the challenge is out with Steam. Are they gonna budge? Are they gonna listen to Epic to change the revenue share that they have with the game developers, or are they gonna dig their heels in and continue to bleed out exclusive games? And maybe they're just waiting it out. Maybe they're like, you know what, Epic doesn't have infinite money. We've had money for a billion years, being on Steam forever. Maybe we'll just let Epic bleed out with doing exclusive rights for right now, and we'll see what happens. But again, the big old clash between Steam and Epic on the games sales front, on the storefront. Like it is bloody out there, and people are up in arms against Epic. People have threatened Satisfactory on social media, saying that the Satisfactory devs, they've threatened them, saying if you don't come to Steam, we're gonna pirate your game. And it's just some craziness going on with these storefronts, that people are so passionate about Steam. And in my opinion, I understand the frustration with exclusives. It's kind of dumb, but I don't agree with the way Steam is doing their business, holding a monopoly, stating and basically dictating what they're going to pay, and not really having any competition out there. So competition is good. Competition will breed innovation, and innovation will be good for the consumer at the end of the day. So without competition, Steam is just going to continue to do what they want to do. So I really want Epic to challenge them, but I really want to get rid of this exclusivity stuff because it's really annoying. So hopefully Steam listens to Epic and we don't have to deal with these exclusive games anymore. We can play the games we want on whatever platform is our preferred way to play the games, which is how it should be, honestly. And I'm talking to you too, Ubisoft, with your Uplay platform. That thing sucks. And EA with your Origins platform. That platform sucks too. And Bethesda with your, oh my gosh, all these platforms are terrible. You know what, GOG, I like you. GOG, you're good. You get a pass, GOG, on the platform. But the rest of you guys, come on now. I just want Steam. Can we get it together? Can Steam get their act together so we can go back to normal life? Thank you. The next thing we have is the Streamlabs Q1 report for 2019. So Streamlabs does a report on basically the streaming landscape every quarter. They just released their Q1 2019 report, and surprise, surprise, Twitch is still #1 by a landslide. They're the behemoth still, which basically is no news. But the big headline here is YouTube gaming gaining ground on Twitch. They are at a quarter of their market share, and they have been around way less than Twitch. And their concurrent viewers per channel is actually double Twitch, which again, take that with a grain of salt, because Twitch has a ton of affiliate streamers that stream with 10 or less viewers constantly. So I'm sure that skews the averages overall. But again, the concurrent viewership by channel, when you compare Twitch with YouTube, is I think it's they double the concurrent viewers per channel. And again, they don't have as many channels. Twitch has a ton more channels. Twitch has a lot more channels with very low viewership, so there could be some skewed averages there. Additionally, Mixer is sitting at a paltry 3rd place. It does not look good for Mixer. Mixer was an up-and-coming riser last year. There was the big old trend to go to Mixer the beginning half of 2018. Everybody wanted to go to Mixer. Mixer was great. Mixer was actually paying partners from Twitch to go stream on Mixer, giving them this big old spiel about how this platform was going to be better, is going to help their growth. And come to find out, if you weren't a BR streamer, you basically weren't growing anywhere, because there was no community there other than the BR community. So if you didn't stream BRs, then you really didn't have a way to grow there. And that was the reason why I never left Twitch specifically, because I stream League of Legends. Again, League of Legends is probably not a good game to stream if you're trying to grow, but if I'm trying to go to another platform to stream League of Legends, it wasn't really looking good on Mixer. We had maybe 3 viewers at any given time. I would look at the director at any given time, and nobody was there watching League of Legends on Mixer. So again, if you streamed other games besides BRs, your opportunity for growth and gaining new viewers was very, very limited. And that's always been the problem with that platform, at least from my perspective. And I think other people's perspective is also, have also said that the BRs are basically the dominant thing on that platform. So until they diversify that a little bit more and get more viewer engagement for other games, this platform is going to be really hard to break into if you're not a FPS player. Additionally, D Live just went really heavy this year, so I don't think there's going to be a lot of stats on D Live yet, and I'm not sure if Streamlive is even going to capture that data, but I'm looking forward to Q2 to see if they capture any of the D Live stats. D Live is the other platform that I had mentioned on our last episode, where PewDiePie was contracted to exclusively stream on D Live. So we'll see how that goes. It looks a little bit like Mixer. I mean, it doesn't look that great. It's still in the early development. Again, it's new. It's kind of raw still. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, that'll be the 4th competitor out there, and actually 5th. I'm sorry, because you have Facebook Gaming. It didn't even include Facebook Gaming either. So there's some additional platforms out there that I'm curious to see how they do against Twitch. But all in all, Twitch is still number 1. Fortnite is still the most streamed game by a mile. I think it had 23 million hours streamed. Second place was Apex with 9 million viewers. I mean 9 million hours, and League of Legends was still 3rd again with like about 5 million hours streamed in Q1. So people still love Fortnite. Fortnite is still reigning supreme. Fortnite is still extremely popular. Even into 2019, where we thought Apex may come along and dethrone Fortnite, but Apex development cycle has been a lot slower than we anticipated, and we know why, because again, it looks like Epic was overworking their employees to get their enhancements out. So I mean, I don't think Apex is going to go down that road, even though they're like published by EA. I don't think they're going to go and overwork their employees like Epic did. So I anticipate that Apex is going to just be a little slower on the get up, and that's why that attributed to Fortnite's success though, on how fast they were able to get content out. And it takes some sacrifice, and unfortunately it was on the backs of game devs that probably were overworked and underappreciated and in terrible working conditions. So I'm glad Respawn's actually not doing that, because that is friggin' terrible. Next up, we have BlizzCon details revealed. BlizzCon's gonna be in Anaheim on November 1st and 2nd. They're gonna have 2 separate sales. There's gonna be a sale on May 4th and another sale on May 8th to secure your tickets, and they are gonna have the virtual ticket again this year. But go to Blizzard's website to find additional details about that. There was a rumor going around that they were increasing their prices, but that is not true. They actually are not increasing their regular ticket prices. I think the additional costs included additional things that you could get, but it is not increasing the price from what I read on the website. If I am wrong, please correct me in the comments, because I'm not from what I saw, I didn't see an increase in price year over year. So check it out. It's super expensive again, as always, and I've always been curious as to why people love BlizzCon so much. Unless I guess if you're a big Blizzard fan and you love Blizzard games and all the games you only play are Blizzard, this makes perfect sense to go to BlizzCon. Otherwise, I don't really see the appeal, honestly. I mean, Heroes of the Storm's not going to be there because the Heroes of the Storm Pro League is gone. They have the Hearthstone still, but I mean, Hearthstone Pro League is kind of okay, I guess. And StarCraft, World of Warcraft, you know, they have the usual suspects. Diablo was a big fiasco last year when they announced Diablo Mobile, even though that's good for their business. It didn't sit well with the fans, so a lot of people were skeptical about this BlizzCon. I'm curious to see how it's going to play out. Hopefully it doesn't cause additional controversy this year as Diablo did last year, but we'll see. And maybe they'll release an actual mainline game. I'm pretty sure they're going to announce the Warcraft 3 remake. That's got to be announced. There's got to be gameplay for that, right? I mean, they announced it last year, but they didn't really give you any details. So that'll probably they'll go into more depth with that. They'll probably announce something for StarCraft like they always do, maybe another DLC. And then Diablo has to be something. There has to be a mainline game in addition to the mobile game. There has to be. I mean, if there's not a mainline game for Diablo, I'll be shocked, honestly. And I'm sure the fans will be extremely livid about it. But yeah, that's all we have for. And then, oh yeah, old school World of Warcraft. How could I forget about that? Vanilla World of Warcraft. I'm sorry, not old school. I'm thinking RuneScape here. Vanilla World of Warcraft will also. I'm sure they'll go in more details about vanilla as well. But yeah, it should be interesting. We'll see. It definitely is going to be a lightning rod for controversy if they make some quirky announcement again. Next up, we have some little baby announcements. Oh, not really baby announcements, but pretty big deal. Ninja was named to the Times 100 most influential people in 2018. He was a big influencer in the gaming world, and this caused a lot of controversy amongst the Twitterverse. A lot of people didn't think he deserved to be there, and he did not make, quote unquote, make gaming. The gaming was already here before he arrived. So whatever your opinion is on Ninja's impact on gaming, he was named to Time's 100 most influential people. So congratulations, Ninja, on that. That's a really big friggin' that's a great thing to put on in your trophy case, that you were recognized as one of the most influential people in the world, basically. In my personal opinion on Ninja, I think he did a lot to bring like competitive gaming to the forefront, and show that you could legitimately make a business out of gaming for your average Joe. Now, everybody in the game world was aware that you can make money doing esports, but Ninja was doing interviews on non-traditional like networks like Ellen DeGeneres, CNN. It was CNN like Money. He was on MSNBC. He was on a bunch of news networks where these people have no idea what the heck streaming is or any of that stuff. And for him to go on those, for him to have the opportunity to go on all these shows and explain what our world is like, I believe he did have some influence in making the industry mainstream. Was he the sole person to make the industry mainstream? No, of course not. There's so many people that made this thing mainstream, but he had a big impact on it. He still continues to have a big impact on the industry, even in Fortnite's waning days lately. And again, Fortnite's still the most popular streamed game on Twitch, or the most popular game streamed in general. Even in the less popular days of Fortnite, he still is someone to recognize within our community and within the gaming community in general. So I don't necessarily think he was the sole influencer in making gaming what it is today. I don't think anybody's trying to say that either, but a lot of people were interpreting it that way. But he definitely was influential, and I think he definitely deserves it. I think he does. I mean, he made a ton of money. He used that money to really raise awareness, and yeah, because without the money, I don't think these people would even talk to him. So I mean, you got to think about that. Think about the exposure that he brought to the non-traditional gaming market. All these people that want to invest in gaming all of a sudden, all these people want to invest in esports that were never involved with esports before. A lot of it has to do with getting knowledge and insight into what was going on here. And yeah, certain like other organizations are already getting involved. Those were sports organizations that were already in like the gaming scene in general anyways. But your non-traditional people were starting to get involved with it. Your angel investors, if you will, or different types of investors were getting into it. So it definitely is a bigger impact for sure. Next up, we have Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs quarterback. He was named the NFL Madden cover star. So if you're not familiar with Madden, there's a Madden curse. So everybody who makes it on the Madden cover, I think besides Tom Brady, actually Tom Brady lost the Super Bowl. Yeah. So every time you make it on the cover of Madden, it basically is a curse. You either get injured or you're out of the league, or something crazy happens to you. It is a Madden curse every year. So whoever becomes the cover athlete always gets a curse. And so the thing now is like Patrick Mahomes was a rising star and he got on the cover of the Madden game. Now everybody's like, okay, this is not good for our team because now he's going to be cursed. Something bad's going to happen to him. He's either going to have a bad year, he's going to get hurt, knock on wood, because you don't want anybody to get hurt, or something quirky's going to happen because he's a Madden cover star. And if you go back and look at all the Madden covers, look at the athletes and what happened to them the following year, it's pretty spooky. So check it out. It's kind of real. Not really, but it's still fun to believe in. Next up, we have Will Smith joining the investment group into Gen G. Gen G has recently went around and signed a bunch of like medium to large size streamers. And Will Smith is one of the more bigger names to sign into these esports organizations, and he's supporting Gen G. So I'm sure you've heard of some of the League of Legends streamers. A lot of the League of Legends streamers were actually signed with Gen G. I've seen a few of them, like Lux Bunny, Nikki Taylor, There's another one too. There's a few of them. I'm like, wow. Oh, I think it was Ava GG. Like, there's a few like female broadcasters that were signed with Gen G. I mean, there's been a number of broadcasters signed with Gen G. So Will Smith throwing some of his weight and his money into the Gen G organization. That's in addition to Drake supporting 100 Thieves. That was last year's news. In addition to like all these other sports organizations supporting multiple various esports organizations or starting up their own esports organizations altogether. So again, money being pumped into the esports scene, definitely rightfully so, because there's a lot of money to be had there. Next up we have a very interesting announcement. So with the trailer for the Last Skywalker, or the last Star Wars movie that's coming out, I'm not really that excited for it. You could hate me in the comments for that. They also announced a new game coming out. Finally, a new Star Wars game, but it's not Battlefront, thankfully. It is published by EA though, so yikes. But they are releasing another game. It's called Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and it's being developed by Respawn. You know, the guys that made Apex. And gals, the guys and gals that made Apex. So Respawn all of a sudden gets to develop a really hot IP, or really like hot potato IP, however you want to look at it. And it is going to be a third-person story-driven game. Single-player game? What? That's what I'm saying. Those are rare these days. You don't understand how rare single-player games are these days. Most people don't want to do it. Most publishers don't want to do it because they don't see the money in it. Because it's usually a one-and-done thing. But they've tasked Respawn with developing this game. The trailer for the game is out now, so go ahead and check out the website on EA's, or you can just type in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and check it out there. But really interesting plot. You are basically picking up the story right after Revenge of the Sith from Episode 3, where the Sith have basically killed everybody off of Order 66 from Darth Sidious. And all the Jedi are either killed or in hiding, and you are one of those Jedi that are in hiding. You're a young Padawan hiding on some desolate planet, and you are discovered, and you are hunted by the Sith and by the Empire, and you have to develop your skills because you're like a Padawan, so you're not very good. So basically, it's a coming of age story where you're hiding, you repress all your powers and your strength. And then you come out and you become this badass, basically, which I'm assuming that's how the story plot is. But it looks really interesting. I definitely will keep an eye on it. I'm very nervous that EA is publishing it, but with Respawn developing it, I'm not as nervous, because their leadership has been known to push back against EA when EA gets too crazy, a la Infinity Ward, because the same people that were running Infinity Ward are running Respawn, so they know how to deal with EA. So hopefully they can keep EA at arm's length and develop a really stellar Star Wars single player game that we all desperately need. So yeah, check it out. It'll be out soon. I want to say, I don't know if they give us a date on that. I'll have to check on that, but end of this year at the very earliest, I'm sure, but maybe falling into the following year. But yeah, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, check it out. Next up, we have some sales numbers I want to throw to you guys. World War Z came out last week, and in the very first week, it sold over 1 million copies. 1 million copies. Can you believe that in just its first week? That tells me there's a lot of Left 4 Dead fans out there really wanting to play Left 4 Dead like games, and basically that's what World War Z is. It's nothing like super spectacular. It literally takes the Left 4 Dead formula and just improves on that formula slightly and gives you updated graphics. But apparently people love that. I mean, it's a couch co-op game. Who wouldn't love that? You know, it's like, that's an awesome game to play with your friends. And the sales numbers do not lie. 1 million copies sold. And then next up we have Frostpunk. If you've watched any of my streams, you know I love this game. Frostpunk is a strategy city building game with a twist that you are in the Arctic, basically, or the world has frozen over, and you're literally, your population is freezing to death. You're dealing with the elements. You're dealing with shortage of resources. That game has sold over 1.4 million units in its very first year, which is really good for a strategy game like that. Typically, those games aren't usually hot sellers, but Frostpunk has found a way to break out and really set itself apart from other strategy games. And that game was super polished when I played it. Extremely polished, really tense. Like, it stressed you out. That game stressed you out in a good way, and it was really challenging to play. I never actually beat the game. I need to go back and actually play it and beat it. but man, it was so good. And the way you built was like on a circular plan because you're around this big old furnace thing. So I mean, the game was just super polished. It was super well done. The music was great. The visuals looked great. Everything about it was great. The mechanics in the game were amazing. If you have not played Frostpunk, I would highly recommend you check that game out. And lastly, Capcom Home Arcade is releasing in October. You know the craze with everybody releasing their own boxes, like the Nintendo Classic, the Super Nintendo Classic, the PlayStation 1 Classic, all these classics, the Atari box. Everybody has a box these days. So Capcom's like, you know what? We have some games. Let's put together our own box or our own bundle of games. And that's exactly what they did. It's called Capcom Home Arcade. It's coming out in October with 16 of their classic games, including Street Fighter 2, which is one of my faves, even though I suck at that game. But yeah, check it out. Capcom Home Arcade. And that is your gaming news for this week. We'll have more for you next week because it's been pretty cray-cray. Next up, we have upcoming game releases. There have been a number of games released recently. I'm not going to touch on every single game here. I'll just touch on a few. Anno 1800 is a game I actually personally purchased. Very good game. If you like strategy, sim building games with a little bit of resource management and supply chain, you will get lost in Anno 1800 for a lot of hours. I played that game for 5 hours last week and literally felt like I had only been playing for like 30 minutes. That game is it is something else. Just check it out. It is kind of pricey, but totally worth the money. You will definitely get your money's worth out of that game. It is very, very interesting to play. Check it out. Anno 1800 city building / resource management game. Wasteland 2 came to Switch. World War Z, which we already talked about, which is like the Left 4 Dead style game, that came out on the 16th as well. Cuphead is on Switch, so if you never played Cuphead and you have a Switch, check it out. That actually feels probably more comfortable than on PC. Final Fantasy Final Fantasy 10 and 10-2 came out on Switch and Xbox One. Dragon's Dogma, I don't know how you, I think it's Dogma actually. That came out on the 23rd. What else they have here? Oh, Steam World Quest, which is a popular game. Mortal Kombat 11, of course, just came out this week, which is like the big hype game right now that everybody's playing. That game looks amazing. The blood and gore and the visual like fidelity of those games are amazing. So check out Mortal Kombat 11 if you haven't. The story is kind of weird, but it's cool. I don't want to give any spoilers, but it's really cool. And then Days Gone just came out, and I'm hearing some mixed feelings about Days Gone. So I'm not sure how that game's holding up, but definitely mixed feelings so far on that. So check it out. Let me know what you think about Days Gone. Super Meat Boy Forever, I think that's a re-release. And then Final Fantasy 12, The Zodiac Age, is also released on Xbox One and Switch. So basically Final Fantasy, like Square Enix is re-releasing all these Final Fantasy games on Switch and Xbox One. So all the old games are being re-released on these consoles for everybody else to try out. So pretty awesome, actually. Pretty awesome that people get to experience it, and Square Enix gets to double dip and make more money off these. All these games are available on PC, so if you have PC, you've probably already had access or played these games. But if you haven't had a PC or you don't have a PC that can play these games, now you can play them on your console. So check it out. Okay, so next up, we have our game spotlight of the week. So if this is your first time here, game spotlights are basically a way for us to highlight games that may be obscure or may not otherwise get the media or attention of the gaming world in general. So I scour the internets to look for games that you may not know about and you may actually end up liking after we're done discussing these. So this week's game is called Age of Wonders Planetfall. Now, what is this game? Who, what, when, where? I'll give you all the details right now and we'll break it down for you. We're gonna watch a video first though. We're gonna watch a video first on this. It'll be the opening trailer, and then we'll get into details on who, what, when, where, and why. So bear with me for a second, and I'll show you right now. Oh, wrong screen here. Hold on one second. Oh,
never.
Peggy 16.
There we go. Apologies. So check it out. Age of Wonders Planetfall. I love the music, by the way.
Listen up. It's
starts here. This is where we rebuild the Star Union. First reports say no activity in sight. Guess you won't get a chance to try those new cannons after all.
I freaking love this music. I'm gonna keep saying that because I really do like this music.
Incoming hostile activity.
Everybody, we're heading out. After 200 years of cryo sleep, you better have a lot of energy. Keep your visors peeled. I'm starting to have a feeling we're not alone.
We're not alone.
What a cool flower.
Great. Pick it up and send it to your mother. Chief, whoa! Enemy!
Oh, you got a mama joke.
Shit! Stand down!
It's a cockroach with a gun.
You would die for a fallen empire? No more!
Drop your weapons and dismount that dinosaur! Right now!
Never. The empire you serve is long gone. You freed yourself.
You listen to her, and that is the last thing that you'll ever hear.
Don't let him control you again.
Surrender! If you want to live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That is Age of Wonders Planetfall, coming out August 6th. We'll get into the details of what this game is because I'm sure you guys have questions on like what you just watched right now. So bear with me. I'll go over the details for you. I will go over the details in a moment. So, Age of Wonders Planetfall. First and foremost, it is developed by Triumph Studios. It is published by Paradox Interactive. I don't know if Chronic's here, but Paradox. And it is available on basically everything besides Switch, PC, PS4, and Xbox One. It is available August 6th this year. So this game has a release date. And they have multiple editions of the game. So they have a standard edition for $50, deluxe for $60, and the premium edition for $90. So all the information has already been available. You can actually pre-order the game, and each edition gives you a little bit extra stuff. There's like soundtracks, art, an additional world you can play on. That's kind of like a scenario world. Check out the website for more details on that. But they definitely have like different breakdowns for you on what you get for your dollar. But it is available for pre-order on every major platform, including Steam. So what is Age of Wonders Planetfall? Age of Wonders Planetfall, basically, it's a 4X game. If you've ever played Civ, if you've ever played any of the 4X games like Endless Legend, what is the other one? There's another space one I played. I can't think of the name of it right now. But the two biggest ones that I know most people know about are Civilization and Endless Legend. So it's a game similar to that. If you're not into 4X games, may not be the game for you. But if you like 4X games, this is totally the game you want to play, because Age of Wonders is actually developed by the people that made the Age of Wonders series. That's hence the first part of it, Age of Wonders, to give you the identity. And if you wonder what Age of Wonders is, go check it out. It was a really popular game back in the early 2000s. Really interesting gameplay. Very strategy driven, of course. The same as this game, Planetfall. And they also made the Overlord. Now, if you don't know what Overlord is, Overlord was like a tongue-in-cheek type of game where you were like this Overlord demon and you had all these minions to do your bidding. And it was a strategy game where you used different minions to accomplish different tasks. It was a really jokey, like make fun of itself type of game. It was a really interesting experience. And so they made that game as well. So that's why you saw like in the trailer there's some sarcasm and humor that was like peppered throughout the game. They don't take themselves seriously. They're not overly serious about the game. They like to have fun with the game. That's why these games look a little over the top. because that's just the way the studio is. The Triumph Studio is just that way. They're not going to be hella serious like a Civ game. They're not going to be like so like uptight about that. So they're playing loose. They're having fun with the game, and this is a result of them having fun with the game. The game actually runs on an internal engine that they created. They're calling it the 64-bit native engine, and it was all built in-house. So everything they have was all completely built in-house. They all have the expertise on it. They didn't have to go out and purchase an engine to run it on. So homegrown engines, that's interesting. And again, if you don't know what 4X games are, it's basically a turn-based strategy game. So you have units and you have a base, and you move these units on like a world map. And you can encounter other units and fight other units. You can capture other bases or destroy other bases and capture more territory as you expand your empire. And there's like multiple ways to win the campaign or win the map. And we'll get into that in a second here. Next up, they have basically the story of the game is building an empire in the cosmic dark age. So human civilization has been destroyed. You've been out in space floating around basically. And you're coming back to this planet to reestablish a civilization or a colony or a foothold, whatever you want to call it. You're coming back to take over the world and make it your own. And so you have all these different factions vying for power on this planet that was once inhabited by your people, and you're charged with putting it all back together again in a futuristic world. So that's basically the premise of the game. It is starting over, civilization starting from scratch, and you're really just having to build it up from there. There are going to be 6 unique factions when it releases. I'm sure there'll be more with DLC, most likely, or maybe free DLC. They've only revealed 3 of the 6 factions so far. So you have the Vanguard. The Vanguard's the military faction. They're all militaristic. So the guy you saw in the trailer, the main guy you saw, or the main guy here on the screen you see, he is like the military like Vanguard leader, and they're like super militaristic, and they kind of remind me of like the Terran from StarCraft, but not as serious as the Terran. But that's kind of how they are. They got structure, order, and all that stuff. The next one are the Amazons. That was the Amazonian lady you saw. They ride on dinosaurs, and it is 100% female faction. So it's a bunch of females riding on dinosaurs and being like Amazon women basically. And so like whatever like that entails, that's all the details I really have on that so far, is that they're Amazon women riding on the back of these space dinos, which is pretty freaking crazy in sci-fi. And then lastly, of the factions that have been revealed, you have the Assembly, which was those weird looking creatures you see here on the right side of your screen. They're basically like cyborg zombies. They're like they're put back together like creatures that have like cybernetic enhancements to them. So they're just like that weird like oddball units. They're like organic, but they're not, and maybe they're controlled by a hive mind. I'm not sure. They didn't give us details on that, but it's called the Assembly. So I'm assuming there's probably a hive mind similar to like the Zerg or something. So that's the third faction that was real. We don't know the other 3. Yeah, cockroaches too. That worked too, Wayne. We don't know what the other 3 factions are. I'm sure they're gonna get more details on those closer to launch, but those are the 3 that we know of so far. So it'll be really interesting to see how they interact with one another. They're really pushing the uniqueness of each faction, though. They want it to be each a standalone faction to play extremely different from the others. So look for a lot of varied gameplay and a lot of replayability with the game. If you do play it, you can play as one faction and come back in and play and get a totally different experience. In addition to that, there's going to be like ancient factions or like old factions that are on the planet that you're already on, that inhabit the land, that are going to be hostile to all the factions that come down. So of the 6 factions that you're able to play, every faction will be enemies of this like native faction. Think of it as like the barbarians in Civilization. Everybody hates the barbarians, and the barbarians hate everybody. So it's kind of like similar to that, where you're gonna have like this one faction that's always gonna want to fight you, and it's just like some random like barbaric faction on the planet. So that's another enhancement that they have. Next up, the way the game progresses basically is you explore planetary ruins, you encounter other survivors. There'll be different scenarios at play. Maybe you have to rescue somebody, maybe you find specific items in the world. you will also learn about the history of the world, the planet you're on, or the old empire, the lost empire, called the Star Union. The Star Union were basically the people that lived on that planet before you. And so as you traverse this world, you're learning about the history of the world, and you're gaining knowledge as to what happened to them, what killed them, how civilization ended up where it was. In addition to that, I'm sure there'll be items to select from. There'll be really unique monsters or enemies to fight on the map as well. Usually that's in 4X games, especially like the sci-fi games. Like Endless Legend has some really unique experiences in it too. And I'm anticipating that this will have similar unique experiences that you'll get to encounter as you explore the world. Because the biggest thing here is like really exploring like the entire grid and see what you can find. Next up, they have again, like I was mentioning earlier, mini pass victories. So as in Civ, I'm going to refer to Civ because a lot of people are familiar with it. You're going to have many ways to win. You can have diplomatic victories, you can have total domination, you can have like technological victories. I don't really know exactly what technological victory is though, so I might have to go back and revise that a little bit. But basically there's more than one way to win other than just killing your opponent and dominating the entire map. That is one way to win for sure, but that's not the only way to win. So they're going to give you multiple paths, and think of it more along the lines of Civ win conditions, where if you build a wonder, diplomatic wins, or like, you know, just conquering everybody. So you definitely have multiple ways to play the game. If you're aggressive, if you're more strategic, etc., etc. In addition to that, they really want to have like really large and diverse tech trees. So they really want to give the player a lot of options to choose how they want to play the game. And again, it goes back to the replayability of the game. You can literally play the same faction twice and have different outcomes based on the tech tree decisions that you make. So there's that as well. In addition to all the factions being unique and having their own way to play, you'll have additional uniqueness within the same faction that you already played because of the tech tree options that you have. So get in there, play around, experiment, and try it out. The next thing is just going over the basic modes that the game has. So it has a single player campaign, which is your storyline, kind of explaining like how you got on the planet and what you're discovering as you go along. There's a random map generator, skirmish mode, and multiplayer. And they have like an online multiplayer they can play, which is pretty standard with this type of game. Again, those that are more competitive are going to want to jump on the multiplayer. Those that are just wanting to have like a really relaxing, I don't know about relaxing, but like a chill experience, are probably going to be just sitting on the single player or the random map generator. And those that want to get in and experiment with different unit types will do the skirmish mode, where you can get in and determine what units you're going to play with against what units, and kind of figure out like what are the best matchups and things like that. So there's a mode for everybody in this. So I believe that's it with this one. Planetfall, Age of Wonders Planetfall, coming out August 6th. If you love 4X games, definitely check it out. It is a game I'm closely watching. I am interested. I haven't played a good 4X game since Endless Legend. I actually like Endless Legend more than I do Civilization. I know you guys are going to hate me for saying that, but I like Endless Legend. Just was more appealing to me from like an interest standpoint. Like the history was cool with Civilization, but the sci-fi and the quirkiness of the factions in Endless Legend was more fun to me. So I'm hoping this game is more along the lines of Endless Legend than Civilization, which I think it is, simply with just looking at the sci-fi faction of it. So we'll see there. We'll see more details as it gets closer to launch, and I anticipate they may announce something during E3. It would be kind of crazy not to announce something at E3. And this game is actually on one of the most anticipated games lists on Steam. So if you look at like games like watch lists, like what's the most anticipated games, Age of Wonders Planetfall is actually pretty high on the list for games that people are anticipating. So it definitely has a fan following. People love Age of Wonders, so they're knowing that they're going to get something similar to that. And then throwing a sci-fi setting on it, which Age of Wonders wasn't sci-fi in the past. It was more like historical and mythology type. So this will be really good to see how they change it up and go into the sci-fi direction. So stay tuned. If I have more information, I'll be sure to pass it along to you guys. Moving on, we have upcoming conventions in April. We only have one edition from our earlier list. It's at the very bottom. It's called the FMX conference, happening on April 30th in Germany, Stuttgart, Germany. But no new changes here for April. We're gonna keep it only in April. So obviously there's a few events coming up in May, and then we have E3 happening in June. But we're gonna do month by month. We're not gonna get too far ahead of ourselves here. So that is what's happening. And obviously we discussed earlier that BlizzCon dates have been set: November 1st, November 2nd. Sale goes on May 4th and May 8th. So check it out if you're a Blizzard fan. You definitely want to get there for those tickets. Those tickets sell out super fast, and yeah, and they're pretty pricey, so definitely save up your money. You got like a week maybe. They go on sale next Saturday. Next Saturday. So you literally have a week from the day this video was made to save up your money for the BlizzCon tickets. Good luck. But yeah, that's it for our show today, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. I always appreciate your company. If you like this episode or you like this series, please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. Let me know what you like, what you hate, what we could do to make it better. I'm always trying to improve, and I can't do it unless I get your feedback. So definitely let me know what I could do better.